Hi everyone, today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart, and this is a kit in 1/35 scale. So here we get Iraqi T-55AL, and that's the famous Enigma with this, I would say, typical external armor. And this Soviet-made base tank in 1/35 scale is the final shape of this release, and it means you will be getting exactly the same stuff as what you will see in this video. And this kit number 37095 should be already available in Modelimex, for example. So first of all, the box art here is quite nice. Here you can see comparison with my hand, because the box size is typical for such release from Miniart. And then we do not have any designation here that this is an interior kit, so I guess we do not get any internals. But here on the side you can see some information about the manufacturer, also some information about the kit. Obviously this is not a toy, and here you can see two marking options which are included, but we will talk more about them when we will be checking the assembly manual. So this is a top opening box. Just give me a second. I will probably do it off the table because it's a tight fitment and it's a bit tricky to remove off the box, but once you do it properly it should be going out easy. So inside we still get plenty of parts. I will show them in a second. As you can see, that's quite a tight fitment, so definitely ask your seller to pack it carefully, because otherwise you might end up with a not nice result. And as far as I can see, they are sealed into one plastic bag, so I will just open it. In the meantime, I can also remind you that I was checking the previous T-55 versions as well, so in case you're interested in checking them as well, you can find them all on the same YouTube channel which you are watching right now, and they were also quite nice, especially the interior versions. And I also assembled one of them, so you can find the build review on the channel as well. And the fitment of the parts is surprisingly good. And why I'm saying surprisingly, because this is still somewhat complex release. That's why it is interesting to see that all of these minor parts and components work together, and they actually combine together into something even more impressive. Okay, so on the top we had another plastic bag, which I will open in a second. It's a clear plastic sprue, and the plastic bag is sealed, so I will just quickly cut through it and show you the sprue itself. So here we have various periscopes for the tank, and they look quite nice, but obviously there are no masks included, so in case you were wondering how to cover these parts, everything will have to be done by your hands and tools. So be sure to get the proper land masking tape, because otherwise you might end up with an ugly result, and I think it's worth investing a bit of time in order to get the sharp looking result, because this will be visible on the finished model as well. Okay, so next we continue with this thing. As you can see here, we have the envelope with Miniart logo. So usually manufacturer supplies the PE parts in such packaging, and this kit is not an exclusion, because here we get the unpainted PE thread. As you can see, this is very nice, I would say, quality of this PE thread, but we get only the external parts. We have also the various meshes, and for 1/35 scale it's a quite important thing, because it will give you a bit more realistic appearance, and of course the final result will be a bit more detailed as well. It might be tricky to install, but with some previous experience it should be fine, so do not worry, and as long as you do not hurry, it should be quite a good looking tank. I'm opening the next plastic bag. So in total we have 5 sealed plastic bags. The one which I'm opening right now is actually dedicated to the large frames, as far as you can see. So I will show it in a second. And here we have, for example, the sprue A. This one is dedicated to the main hull. And maybe it's worth zooming out a bit so that you can see what we are talking about here. So we still get some of the internal walls and bulkheads, but obviously as long as we do not get the interior, there is nothing much to show. It's more for the overall rigidity of the lower hull section. Next sprue is coming in two pieces. Here we have the sprue TC. So this one is dedicated to the hull sections, and also we have various handles, and you can replicate these small railings with the metal wire, but it's already your decision whether you would like to go with such, let's say, upgrades, or you are fine with the standard plastics. With the standard plastic, I'm usually saying that it's a bit tricky to separate these parts without breaking them off, so definitely remember this. And here we have another portion of the small parts. Okay, next we continue with tiny parts on these two sprues. Here we have also some parts for the towing cables, as you can see. And again, the size of some elements is very tiny, so that's why pay attention so that these parts will not be lost. Because even though they are very tiny, there are also no spare parts whatsoever. So you will have to fix everything by yourself if you lose somehow the parts. Next we have the sprue with the drive sprocket and also with the idlers. Here they are. So overall quality looks fine. We have the connections points on the idler, actually on the drive sprocket in between the teeth. So be careful while separating it, but I think it's better because you don't have to clean up the teeth and you also get a more or less clean result afterwards. Next, we have also this frame in two pieces. So this is the fuel tank, obviously, and as you can see, it should be assembled out of two hulls. Here from the opposite side, we have also some guiding elements, so it should be easy to combine them together. Next, another, well, this is more of interconnection between the sprues. So I will show you only one, because here we have several frames all together. So this one is again the fuel tank, and as you can see, this one should be assembled out of several parts, and also here we have the towing hooks. Next we continue with the road wheels. So road wheels are looking nice. We have also really good tires or rubber sections, so it's a good material for some weathering ideas. And here is another small sprue with really tiny elements. So do not underestimate this, because they will be used throughout whole tank, and it's very important to pay attention to the assembly manual so that you install the right part in the right position and in the right version as well, let's say, because in some cases you have parts applied in several possible editions or versions, so that's why it is important to pick the right one. Here we continue also with the turret, and as you can see, the mantled cover should be assembled out of several sections. We also have the separate hatches. This is quite typical feature for Miniart tanks, but it's also quite useful for a 135 scale tank, so that's why it is appreciated here as well. Next, we have the large plastic sprue. So this one again is dedicated to the lower hull section, and I will just zoom out. As you can see, this is the floor panel. We have the escape hatches and service hatches molded separately, which is a nice touch, but I wonder if somebody is using it actually, because it's barely visible on the finished model, and of course you have to show it somehow on the finished model, and it takes a bit of imagination on how to expose these areas under the tank. So in case you have some ideas, write in the comment section, I would be happy to know. But from what I saw, modelers were actually using the mirror, and that's pretty much all how they were able to expose such thing. So maybe you have some better ideas, so feel free to write it. As you can hear, I'm trying to open the next plastic bag, and I'm not that successful in this, to be honest. So just give me a second. Okay, so finally I have several sprues out, and this plastic bag is dedicated to the mix of plastic frames. So I will try to show you one of each. And we also get the plastic cracks here as well. So let's remove this one. And this one goes here. So this plastic sprue is again dedicated to some turret parts. As you can see, we have the separate hatches. Here you can check them from the opposite side. Really nice surface details as well. So it's something worth picking out on the finished model. Really good material for some weathering ideas as well. Next we continue with this sprue. So here we have the track links. I will just zoom in, and as you can see, this separate plastic track links is definitely better than the typical vinyl offering, which we still see in some kits, and it just will take some time to assemble it, but I think it's worth it. So definitely invest some time and you'll get a quite impressive looking tank in 135 scale. Next we have this tiny sprue, then another one for the road wheels, and another one for various minor items. So as you can guess, this one for the road wheels, just like the tracks, it is supplied in several pieces of the same type, so that's why I'm showing only one here. But as you can see, the overall idea is simple. You just need to get some round masks, because otherwise it might be tricky to paint these rubber sections on the wheels. And with this we can move to the next portion of the plastic sprue, so just give me a second, because it's another plastic bag and another cutting through. Maybe while I'm opening it, I can remind you that you can support me with a small donation. It's quite easy thing to do because it's doable through the PayPal, and of course you are the one who is deciding how much will be donated, but you can also do it through the YouTube membership. So this one is also working and you get some interesting benefits from such support. So as far as you can see, this plastic bag was packing the new parts for the Enigma. So I will just zoom out. As you can see, this is the external armor for the turret, and it's good that it is molded as a one-piece sections. We also have some parts for the main gun, because as you remember, there is also the counterweight on the turret, so that's why we have these special supports for the bigger gun. And also from the opposite side we have some guiding elements. So this is quite smart design, but I would say something what is expected from Miniart, so no surprise in a good way. Next we have the new top hull covers. So these ones will go into the engine bay area. Again, we have the separate hatches, but this will not be handy here because, well, you do not have the engine included unless you buy it as a separate kit from the same brand. So then it might be useful, and you can actually expose the engine and maybe use it for some diorama ideas. Here we continue with another Enigma specific parts. I'm not sure where this one will go. I guess this is also part of the external armor, but as you can see, it's also assembled out of separate sections. Next we have this plastic sprue with the spare tracks and also some supports. I guess these ones will be installed on the frontal section. And they look quite nice. Again, a lot of thin and small parts. So extra care is required for sure, but at least molding quality looks great. So there are no molding issues whatsoever. Here we continue with parts for the main hull. This is the engine bay area. As you can see here, we continue with this cover, which is on the top. Also a lot of small parts which are applied here and there. And I wonder how they will be assembled together, so it's something to check in the assembly manual. But for now we continue also with this plastic sprue, which is dedicated to the new drivetrain parts. So here we get slightly different drive sprockets and also new idlers and slight adjustments for the suspension attachments. But it's nothing what is not doable, I would say. And it's just a matter of installing the new parts, not using the old ones. Next, we continue with these parts, which again are dedicated to the turret. Here we also have some storage boxes and spare tracks. And these parts look okay. Again, we have the separate hatch here. And from the opposite side, we also have some features. But remember that we are getting here the kit without interior. But at least we get in the one-piece barrel here, so this is really good thing. And even though this is a plastic part, as you can see, it's throughout, so you don't have to do any cutouts here or drill something. You just carefully separate it off the frame and install it onto the tank. So quite straightforward procedure, and of course it's always welcome to get such design instead of trying to drill something and adjust something with your own hands and tools. Next we have this connection between the frames. So as far as you can see here, we get the machine gun and also some parts for the main gun as well. So everything looks fine, and I'm just impressed with the amount of the tiny bits, and I wonder if it was really necessary to separate it like this. some of you already asked this question because in some cases you just need to assemble even the rivets separately, so for some others this is not an easy task. Here we continue also with the small sprue for the turret parts. Okay. And one more sprue for various stowage boxes, which are typical for this version of the tank. As you can see, they are just simple panels which should be combined together, but I think it's an easy thing to do. And last but not the least is the large plastic sprue with more of the external armament, actually armory, because as you can see, this protection will be installed on the main hull. You need the supports which will be holding it in place. We have also slightly modified top section of the turret, and if I flip it over here again, inside we have some installation points, but they will not be used because this is a kit without interior parts, and that's why it's not employed here. But we also get the assembly manual. What is interesting is that we do not get any decals here, but at least we get the assembly manual. So let's close the lenses a bit, zoom out, and now you should be able to see this color printed brochure. So we have short list of the features, and then we start with the parts map. So be mindful that we do not have the unused parts marked here. Miniart usually does not do this, so that's why you have to pay attention which parts are actually installed here and there. But assembly process starts with the lower hull section, then we continue with the various drivetrain parts. And also do not be fooled by those internal walls. They are mostly needed for the rigidity of this assembly, but not to show what is inside the tank. And I'm saying this because I was building exactly the version without interior. Then we continue with the rear deck. As you can see, again, the separate hatches. And next page, here we have the P parts being assembled into these meshes. As you can see, the slats are also replicated as a P part, so this is plenty of work to do. And there are even P supports for the front mud guards. Then we install also the external armor. And then on the next pages, here we have some stowage boxes, and also the glacis plate gets updated with additional armor. Here we have the fuel tanks, again some additional armor from the sides, road wheels and drive sprockets. Then here we have the framing for the rear deck, and then we start working on the turret. So here we also get quite interesting things, because as you can see, the gun is also detailed nicely inside, and you get to cover it with the separate turret panels. I don't know why the pages are a bit slippery, but here we continue with the external armor. Well, this is, let's say, preparation, because as you can see, the panels then get installed separately. You also have an option to open the hatch, and also we have here the stowage box, which is installed onto the counterweight on the turret. And next, here the step 86 is installation of the turret on the hull. Here we have also the first marking option from January 1991, and here is another one from January 1991, but this one is in camouflage, not the full yellow color. So overall, it looks like a quite sophisticated kit for modelers who are brave enough to go on such project, but I think the final result should be worth it. So definitely take a look if you would like to copy the famous Enigma with the proper quality. And of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion, so write it here in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.